The episode opens with a grueling interrogation where Jihan literally pins Senya against the wall. Judging by the way she avoids eye contact and nervously wrings her hands, her lies are already starting to crumble. In the next episode, this tension will likely culminate in a total nervous breakdown, as Jihan clearly has no intention of backing down until he learns the truth about his mother's fall. Pay attention to Senya's reaction. She accuses her husband of creating a criminal image in his own mind. This is a classic defense through attack tactic, suggesting that she will soon start openly manipulating Jihan's emotions. In the new episode, we will likely see her attempt to play the victim of his suspicion to buy herself more time. Jihan explicitly states that his mother's shadow is suffocating Senya, and she admits it. This detail is the key to her motive. After such an admission, it is logical to expect the next episode to feature flashbacks, revealing the true depth of their conflict. It seems Senya feared this influence so much that she took a radical step that will now haunt her every waking minute. Jihan's final warning that a lie will bury them both sounds like a death sentence. Precisely because of this line, we can expect him to launch his own secret investigation in the sequel, distrusting the official reports. It is logical to assume that their union will finally disintegrate as soon as he finds even a single piece of physical evidence against his wife. Mediha is surprisingly calm in prison, claiming she hasn't encountered true sin yet. This is a vital marker of her character. Judging by this scene, she won't be a submissive prisoner in the next episode. She'll start establishing her own order. Her phrase hints that she knows far more about the sins of those around her than they imagine. When the guard tells Mediha she is now just a number, we see a momentary flicker of confusion in the former lady's eyes. After such humiliation, it is logical to expect her to try and contact someone on the outside who still owes her loyalty. Most likely, in the coming episodes, she will use her old connections to make her life easier behind bars or to begin her revenge. The conflict between Nusret and Noor over the divorce escalates to the limit. Noor demands the petition be torn up, but the process has already begun. This scene lays the foundation for a serious split in the household. The most logical next step here is Noor's attempt to discredit her daughter-in-law by any means necessary to maintain control over her son and the family assets. Noor reminds everyone who she is, attempting to suppress her opponent's will with her authority. However, Nusret's reaction proves the old methods no longer work. It is logical to assume that in the next episode, Noor will move from threats to real action, perhaps organizing a provocation against Mukarrem. She is not one to accept the loss of power. By the way, if you like this detailed breakdown, don't forget to subscribe and like the video. It helps me produce more content. Nusret directly demands that Noor take her hands off their lives. This is a turning point. Against the backdrop of such a scene, we can expect him to officially strip his mother of her voting rights in company or estate matters in the next episode. It seems his patience has finally snapped, and he will now protect Mukarrem even at the cost of a total break with his mother. The incident with the attempted slap and the son's intervention shows how toxic the atmosphere in the family has become. Once Nusret intercepted his mother's hand, it became clear. The hierarchy has changed. Most likely, Noor will next try to turn the rest of the relatives against Mukarrem, playing the role of an offended mother whose honor was trampled by an ungrateful son. Nusret's words that a hand raised against his wife is a hand raised against himself leave no room for retreat. After such a hard stance, it is logical to expect Noor to start looking for allies elsewhere. Judging by her look in this scene, her next step could be a rapprochement with Nalan, using her cunning against her own son. Nusret establishes total control over his mother's actions, stating that he will now know about every breath she takes. This is exactly why we will see Noor's underground game in the next episode. She clearly won't sit idly by under such supervision, and her attempts to bypass her son's prohibitions will become a separate intrigue in the plot. The prosecutor asks for the report on Mediha's case, which was already closed. This is a crucial detail pointing to a new turn. It is logical to expect that in the next episode, errors in the original investigation will be revealed. It seems someone intentionally hid important evidence, and now the truth will begin to surface, threatening those who thought they were safe. The warning that the prosecutor might bring trouble upon himself highlights the danger of this case. Judging by Sasha's determination, he will face serious pressure from above. Most likely, in the next episode, they will try to stop him, possibly through threats or blackmail, which will only confirm the existence of a criminal conspiracy surrounding the Mediha incident. Nalan brings coffee to Noor, pretending to be sympathetic. But her words about Nusret being under influence reveal her true goals. After such a conversation, we can expect Nalan to begin methodically driving a wedge between mother and son, exploiting Noor's weakness. She is clearly aiming for the position of the main woman in the house, hiding behind a mask of care. Noor complains about her son's ingratitude, and Nalan immediately picks up the theme. This scene hints that Nalan will use Noor's resentment as a weapon. The most logical next step here is creating a situation where Mukarram looks guilty in Nusret's eyes, with Nalan framing it so that she herself appears uninvolved. Nalan's direct accusation that she only pursues her own ambitions sounds very convincing. After this scene, it's logical to expect her true motives to soon become known to other characters. It seems her tactic of pitting people against each other will start to falter as she becomes too overconfident in her impunity. Nalan says she just knows people, and it sounds like a hidden threat. Judging by this scene, she will next begin to openly use the information she has been gathering all this time. It is logical to assume that in the next episode, she will present a serious ultimatum to someone in the family based on a secret she managed to peep or overhear. Nalan's call for Noor to be strong and stand tall is part of her long-term plan. Based on this reaction, it looks like she will continue to instill in Noor the idea of reclaiming power at any cost. We will likely see Noor, inspired by these words, decide on a desperate and perhaps illegal act against Mukarram in the sequel. The servants discuss Mediha, calling her arrogant and heartless. This backbiting reveals the true attitude of the staff toward their former mistress. After such a scene, we can expect that in the next episode, when Mediha needs outside help, none of the staff will want to assist her. She is left in absolute isolation, and this will be her main trial. Talk of a house curse and the wrong vinegar adds a mystical subtext. But behind this lies a real fear. People feel that something terrible is happening in the family. Most likely, this fear will escalate into panic when the next tragic event occurs. This detail hints that the house will soon lose its last loyal servants. Senya begins throwing out and burning Mediha's things, wanting to erase any mention of her. Because of this, an important piece of evidence she accidentally destroyed or, conversely, found among the junk might surface in the next episode. Her obsession with cleaning the house looks like an attempt to silence her own conscience, which will lead to new mistakes. Her brother tries to stop Senya, reminding her that Mediha is still their mother. The conflict between them over their attitude toward their mother will only intensify. After this scene, we can expect the brother to start secretly visiting Mediha in prison, trying to find a way to exonerate her. This will create a serious confrontation between him and Senya in future episodes. Senya screams that she didn't kill anyone for her ambitions, unlike her mother. This phrase sounds like an attempt at self-justification, but it also hides a confession of hatred. It is logical to expect that in the next episode, she will encounter someone who knows the truth about her role in her mother's fall. Her fear of exposure will drive her to even more aggressive actions. In prison, Mediha tries to save face by demanding her bed, but she faces a harsh reality. Judging by this scene, a brutal survival school awaits her. It seems the cellmates have already received orders to make her life difficult. In the next episode, we will likely see Mediha's first open physical confrontation with other inmates, where she'll have to defend herself. The cellmate mockingly tells Mediha she can stand or burn, but she won't see a bed. This detail emphasizes Mediha's total loss of status. It's logical to expect that she won't give up and will start looking for her enemy's weaknesses within the cell. She will likely find a way to subordinate at least one of the inmates by the end of the next episode, using cunning. Mukarram tells her mother over the phone that the divorce is a settled matter, but her voice trembles, betraying internal doubts. After this conversation, we can expect her to falter at the decisive moment. The most likely next step here is Nusret's attempt at reconciliation, which Mukarram might reciprocate despite the pressure from her family. The question of whether it was truly her decision, or if she was pressured, makes Mukarram fall silent. This pause says more than any words. Based on this reaction, it will be revealed in the next episode that a third party was behind her divorce decision. It is logical to assume that this secret puppeteer will start demanding new steps from her, threatening to expose her true feelings. The scene where Halit talks about not wanting to agree to something she doesn't want shows his nobility. But this is exactly what could become his weakness. After such a conversation, we can expect his kindness to be exploited in the next episode. Most likely, Nalan will set things up so that Halit finds himself in a trap from which only Mukarram can save him. Fortune-telling with coffee grounds and the mention of the letter H introduce an element of prophecy. Although the characters take it lightly, such details are rarely accidental in dramas. Based on this scene, a new character whose name begins with this letter will appear in the next episode and play a fatal role in Mukarram's destiny. It's logical to expect an old acquaintance or a rival. The mention of a new channel and someone standing at the door but not entering creates an atmosphere of suspense. This detail hints that someone is closely watching the family. In the next episode, we will most likely learn the identity of this observer. It seems to be someone from Mediha's past who has come for their share of the inheritance or for revenge. The words that Mukarram is not home when someone knocks are a metaphorical description of her internal state. It's logical to assume that in the next episode, she will try to completely change her environment, perhaps by leaving for a while. But precisely this departure could be a fatal mistake, as her enemies are only waiting for the moment she is left without her husband's protection. Nalan's appearance and her mask of innocence irritate Mukarram. The direct accusation that she has her eye on Halit takes the conflict to a new level. After such a scene, open hostility can be expected. Most likely, in the next episode, Mukarram will try to officially evict Nalan from the house, but she will present some unexpected trump card that will force Mukarram to back down. The offer of money and tickets to Canada in exchange for Nalan's departure is Mukarram's attempt at a quick fix. Nalan's refusal shows she needs far more than just money. This is exactly why a major revelation is to be expected in the next episode. It seems Nalan aims to be Halit's legal wife and won't rest until she achieves her goal. Nalan declares she wants a home and roots for her son and will not leave. This is her mission statement. Judging by this scene, she will next start acting even more boldly. It's logical to assume that in the next episode, she will try to officially have her son recognized as part of the family, which will cause a grand scandal and could lead to a revision of the inheritance. The prosecutor's assistant brings Mediha's file, emphasizing that no one noticed anything. This is the beginning of a secret operation. After this scene, we can expect the prosecutor to find blatant inconsistencies in the file in the next episode. The most likely move here is summoning witnesses for interrogation who were previously silent, causing panic among those who staged the accident. The child's question about whether Daddy will come highlights the split in the family. Mukarram's promise that Daddy will be late sounds like an attempt to hide the bitter truth. It's logical to expect that in the next episode, the child will accidentally witness a parental quarrel, which will further complicate their relationship. Based on the atmosphere, Mukarram will soon have to explain to her son why their lives have changed. The servant reports to Halit that she has delivered his mother's clothes to the prison. His brief "thank you" and coldness speak of deep resentment. After such a scene, we can expect that he will still decide to meet Mediha, but not for forgiveness, to ask one specific question. We will likely see their heavy conversation through prison bars in the next episode. Mukarram rejects her aunt's advice that men shouldn't be left alone for long and that she needs to use cunning. No, these words could prove prophetic. It seems Mukarram will see further confirmation that Halit is drifting away. In the next episode, she might attempt a reconciliation, but she will face a cold wall, or worse, the presence of another woman. The aunt suggests Mukarram prepare a special dessert and wear a beautiful outfit to regain her husband's interest. This detail hints at an upcoming romantic scene, which will most likely end in failure. After such a conversation, it's logical to expect Mukarram to try this method, but Hallett will be too preoccupied with thoughts of Nalan or his mother's affairs, dealing Mukarram a final blow. The aunt suggests Mukarram prepare a special dessert and wear a beautiful outfit to regain her husband's interest. This detail hints at an upcoming romantic scene, which will most likely end in failure. After such a conversation, it's logical to expect Mukarram to try this method, but Hallett will be too preoccupied with thoughts of Nalan or his mother's affairs, dealing Mukarram a final blow. The talk that the snake has no teeth but is still venomous perfectly describes Mediha's situation. Even in prison, she remains dangerous. Based on this phrase, Mediha will attempt to remotely influence family affairs in the next episode. It's logical to assume she'll pass some coded message through her lawyer that will change the balance of power in the company. Nalan accuses Hallett of breaking his promise never to divorce. Her pressure shows how important this marriage is to her. After such a conversation, we can expect Nalan to move to open blackmail. Most likely, in the next episode, she will present Hallett with evidence that could ruin his reputation if he doesn't change his mind about the divorce. Hallett is shocked to find his mother forged his signature on the divorce petition. This revelation changes everything. Precisely because of this, he might try to annul all the documents in the next episode. It's logical to expect him to enter into an open conflict with his mother in prison, accusing her of destroying his only happiness for the sake of her intrigues. Hallett screams in a rage that they are forcibly trying to separate his wife from him. His decision to fight for Mukarram to the end looks sincere. Judging by this scene, he will next ally with someone unexpected to counter his mother's intrigues. We will likely see his alliance with the prosecutor in the sequel, as their goals will temporarily align. Nalan says the only key to the situation is Mukarram herself. If she changes her mind, there will be no divorce. This phrase hints that Nalan will start pressuring Mukarram directly. In the next episode, we will most likely see their decisive clash, where Nalan will offer Mukarram a deal she won't be able to refuse for the sake of her child's well-being. The scene where Mediha snaps at her cellmate, declaring she killed her husband and wouldn't hesitate to kill again, is a moment of truth. After such a confession, her status in the prison will change dramatically. Most likely, even the boldest inmates will start fearing her in the next episode. This detail also hints that the prosecutor will soon receive this confession through an informant. Mediha's breakdown in the solitary cell and her screams that she's suffocating show her main weakness, claustrophobia. Judging by this scene, this is exactly what will become a lever for the investigation. In the next episode, the prosecutor might use her fear of enclosed spaces to extract an official confession. Her mental state will rapidly deteriorate. The disappearance of the child from the mansion is a shocking series finale to the line. Judging by the panic in the house, no one expected such audacity. It's logical to expect a large-scale search operation to begin in the next episode. It seems the kidnapping was planned by someone who knows the house's security system perfectly, narrowing the circle of suspects to family members and the closest servants. Hallett's question, "Where is Aziz?" and his accusatory look at those around him show he doesn't believe in coincidences. After such a scene, we can expect him to start acting outside the law. The most logical next step here is his attempt to find the kidnappers on his own, using connections in the criminal world that Mukarram didn't even suspect. Mukarram screams in despair that her son has been taken. Her grief could be a turning point in her relationship with Hallett. This tragedy will likely force them to forget about the divorce and unite in the next episode. It seems the kidnapping was organized by Nalan to become the heroine who returns the child and thereby earns forgiveness and a place in the family. Nusrat accuses Nalan of being involved in the kidnapping, but she denies everything. This argument shows that trust in the house is finally undermined. Based on this reaction, Nalan will next be even more skillful at covering her tracks. Most likely, in the next episode, she will plant a false piece of evidence pointing to Hallett or his uncle to divert suspicion from herself. Jihan directly asks Mediha in prison if it was him who forced her to do what she did. Her answer that she was forced to choose between him and Mukarram reveals her twisted logic. It's logical to expect that in the next episode, Jihan will finally renounce his mother. It seems this conversation will be the final straw, after which he'll decide to provide the court with all the evidence of her guilt he has. Mediha tells her son she no longer wants to see him. This is a final break. After such a scene, we can expect Mediha to start planning her escape or suicide. Judging by her condition, she no longer sees the point in fighting if she has lost control over her son. In the next episode, her behavior in prison will become even more unpredictable and dangerous. Mukarram accuses Nusret of promising to protect their son, but failing. This scene deals a crushing blow to his authority. It is logical to assume that in the next episode, Nusret will go to any lengths, even murder, to get the child back. It seems his rage will be unleashed on those he deems guilty, leading to new casualties. Halit claims he won't stoop to kidnapping his own nephew. His words sound firm, but suspicions remain. After this scene, we can expect him to conduct his own investigation. Most likely, in the next episode, he will track down Nalan, and this will be the beginning of their secret war for influence over Mukarram. Mukarram accuses Nalan of kidnapping Aziz after her offer was rejected. This is a direct hit on the target. Judging by this scene, Nalan will have to justify herself not only to the family, but also to the police in the next episode. She will likely try to get rid of the accomplice who helped her in the kidnapping to cut off the leads. Noor threatens Nalan and Mukarram that she'll make their lives hell if anything happens to her grandson. This threat carries a lot of weight. Precisely because of this, Noor might use her old connections to pressure Nalan in the next episode. It's logical to expect that she will find a weak spot in Nalan's past and use it for blackmail in response to Aziz's kidnapping. Halit screams in a rage that he will kill anyone involved in his son's disappearance. His condition is close to madness. Judging by this reaction, he might commit an irreparable act next. In the next episode, we will likely see his confrontation with Uncle Fikret, whom he considers the main organizer of the kidnapping. Their meeting in a secluded place could end in tragedy. Halit accuses Nusret of putting Mediha in prison for justice, and the kidnapping is a retaliatory strike. This detail hints that Halit sees the situation as revenge. It's logical to expect him to try and break his mother out of prison in the next episode, believing that only she might know where to look for the child. His actions will become a direct threat to the prosecutor's plans. Noor suggests that Nalan helped kidnap Aziz because she is the most interested in Mukarram's departure. This is a very accurate observation. After such a scene, we can expect Noor to start secretly monitoring Nalan. Most likely, in the next episode, she will capture a suspicious meeting between Nalan and one of the kidnappers, which will be the key to the mystery. The warning that Nusret's eyes are closed by a veil and he doesn't see his wife's true nature highlights his blindness. Based on this phrase, he will be presented with irrefutable evidence of Mukarram's or Nalan's betrayal in the next episode. It's logical to assume his world will finally collapse when he realizes he was betrayed by the person closest to him. Mediha in prison demands to see a lawyer. Her panic is rising. This detail hints that she is ready for a deal. In the next episode, she might offer the investigation information about Aziz's kidnapping in exchange for her freedom. She is likely the true organizer, directing the process even from her cell through her people. The prosecutor intends to personally interrogate all the hotel staff where the incident occurred. His determination to get to the truth scares the guilty. After this scene, we can expect someone from the witnesses to accidentally die or disappear in the next episode. This will confirm that behind Mediha are very influential forces ready for anything to keep her secret. The advice to Senia not to be like her mother and to keep mercy in her heart sounds like a final warning. Judging by her reaction, she is unlikely to heed it. It's logical to expect Senia to finally cross over to the quote-unquote dark side in the next episode, committing an act that will make her a copy of Mediha. Her thirst for revenge will become stronger than the voice of reason. Mukarram in hysterics demands her son back, accusing Nusret of weakness. This moment will become a catalyst for his actions. After such a scene, we can expect Nusret to make a deal with the criminals, agreeing to any of their terms. In the next episode, his attempt to personally return the child could lead to an ambush and a serious injury. Mediha refuses to see Halit, stating she doesn't want to look at him. This shows her deep disappointment in her son. It's logical to assume she'll bet on someone else in the next episode, possibly on Nalan. It seems Mediha will start using Nalan as her representative on the outside to take revenge on Halit for his betrayal. Sania demands Mediha remove her bloody hands and declares she'll rot in prison. This scene is the peak of their enmity. Based on this reaction, Mediha will reveal some terrible truth about their father to Sania in the next episode, which will make Sania doubt the correctness of her actions. This could completely change her attitude toward her imprisoned mother. The talk that Halit learned to betray from his own mother is a cruel but accurate truth. After such a phrase, we can expect Halit to start consciously copying Mediha's methods. Most likely, in the next episode, he will play a complex combination to frame Nusret and take the child for himself, using the same manipulation techniques as his mother. Nusret gives the order to his men to turn the whole city upside down and spare no one in their path. His move to radical methods is terrifying. Precisely because of this, we will see clashes on the city streets in the next episode. It's logical to expect his actions to attract the attention of the police and the prosecutor, creating a new line of conflict between the law and family revenge. The prosecutor's important observation: falling on the back is impossible without outside help. This detail is irrefutable evidence. Based on this conclusion, Mediha will be charged with murder with aggravating circumstances in the next episode. Experts will likely find traces of a struggle on her clothing that will finally close the question of the accident. Jihan admits he tried to drown out his pain by causing pain to others. This is his moment of repentance. After such a confession, it's logical to expect him to try and fix everything in the next episode. It seems he will decide to protect Mukarram from his family's attacks, even if it makes him an enemy in the eyes of his own relatives. His character faces a serious transformation. Nalan's appearance with Aziz in her arms is the series' main shock. She directly tells Mukarram that she's to blame for what happened because she didn't accept the offer. Judging by this scene, Nalan will next use the child as a human shield. In the next episode, she will force Mukarram to publicly renounce all claims to Halit in exchange for Aziz's safety. Nalan's threat that Mukarram won't see her son even in her dreams if she doesn't hand over the divorce papers is the endgame. Precisely because of this scene, we can expect Mukarram to commit forgery. Most likely, in the next episode, she will bring Nalan fake papers while simultaneously trying to lure her into a trap. The tension in their confrontation will reach its peak. Jihan tricks Sania into confessing to pushing Mediha. His camera bluff worked. After such a revelation, it's logical to expect Jihan to leave his wife. It seems he'll pass the recording of their conversation to the prosecutor in the next episode. Sania will find herself in the same prison as her mother, and their long-awaited meeting in the same cell will be the season's most dramatic moment. Halit saves the child and returns him to his mother, accusing his uncle of the kidnapping. This looks like a perfectly staged performance. Judging by this scene, Halit and Nalan acted together. In the next episode, Mukarram, believing in his heroism, might return to him. But the truth that he organized the kidnapping himself for her return will eventually surface, becoming a time bomb. The talk that greed blinded the uncle enough to use a child for bargaining is part of Halit's legend. It seems he will next systematically remove all competitors, hiding behind family protection. In the next episode, Halit could become the new head of the clan, as his feat has restored his reputation in the eyes of Noor and those around him. Mukarram publicly tears up the divorce papers, declaring she loves her husband. This is a victory for Nalan and Halit. After such a scene, we can expect Mukarram to be in total isolation in the mansion. Most likely, in the next episode, she'll realize she's trapped in a golden cage where Halit and Nalan will control her every move, using the child as a hostage for her obedience. Mukarram declares that Nusret and Noor couldn't protect her son, while Halit saved him. This split between allies is exactly what the enemies were after. It's logical to assume that in the next episode, Nusret will start looking for evidence of Fikret's setup. His investigation will lead to Nalan, and he will realize Mukarram has made the most terrible mistake of her life. The final shot of Nalan confirms. She is the true puppeteer of this story. Her look makes it clear that the next episode will be devoted to consolidating her power. We will likely see her start getting rid of Noor, considering her spent material. The series is reaching a point where evil triumphs, and only a miracle or unexpected betrayal within their union can save the heroes.
Hindi na ako iyo, nakalimutan mo na ba ang mga pangako sa ilalim ng